Well, Billy, I'm really grateful to you for taking some time. I know you're really busy, especially right now, to talk with me today. And as I said when we talked, we're so grateful for the work that you are doing through ACTS and to be able to support that work, knowing that it has changed in this pandemic season and that you are in so many ways on the front lines of helping people who are most in need right now. I would love for you to start by just kind of telling us about what ACTS is, how you do the work that you do, and maybe a little bit about your history with the organization.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Thanks for having me, Amy. So I'm Billy Poarch. I'm the CEO of ACTS. I've been here for since May of 2011, so a little over 9 years now. And ACTS began as the thought of 5 faith leaders who came together and said, what do you do when someone comes to your door or calls you on the phone that you have no idea of who these folks are and they're asking for money? And they all said, we hand them $25 or $50 and say good luck. And they all looked at each other and said, this is not the right way to do things. We don't know who these people are that are asking for money. We don't really know what their need is. And we understand that if they seriously are getting ready to be evicted or having their utilities disconnected, what is $25 or $50 going to do for them? So the 5 faith leaders that came together really wanted to figure out something to do because they knew what they were doing was not compassionate and it was not efficient. So they started looking for something that they could form in the Richmond metropolitan area, an organization that they could form. And they started doing some research and they found an organization called CAM, which stands for Crisis Assistance Ministry, down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so a group of folks, by this time it had grown to about 12 or 13, took a van trip down to Charlotte and visited CAM one weekend. And on the ride back, they decided that what they saw in North Carolina was what they wanted to form here. And so that's how ACTS was born. So we've become like the central location for about 60 congregations in the greater Richmond area to send folks who they don't know with meeting of a little bit of criteria that we ask our partners to go through to make sure that they're sending correct referrals our way. And then, so we call those folks back, we talk to them, we find out what kind of situation they're in, how they got into that situation, how they've always been able to pay their rent or their utilities in the past, how much money they owe, what happened that particular month that they weren't able to pay their bills. And then we look at their income, we look at their budget, we go over a full budget with them, we do a full assessment, and then we make that determination based on their sustainability going forward as to whether or not we can definitely financially assist them. We also connect them with all sorts of other resources that we know about throughout the city. We have resources that are done by zip code. So we find out what zip code they're in and then we can give them an idea. So pre-COVID, all of this was done in our offices, face-to-face. And at the end of that, we would give each person a care bag that probably, has about $40 worth of merchandise in it. This is, these are items that are paper products, cleaning products, hygiene products, whatever they need, diapers, anything along those lines that are very expensive, as you well know, and that SNAP benefits do not cover. So, for these folks to be given those items when they leave our offices is very exciting. My thought that ACTS does is we give people hope and we give them their dignity. And without those two things, people start falling very quickly. So anyway, then our work is not done. We call the landlords, we make contact with the utility companies, we verify that all of this information is true. Sometimes we have to call employers to make sure that they are getting paid this amount. We do all that verification to be the best stewards of the money that we are given, to make sure that we are helping the correct people in our community.
Yeah, which to me, Billy, is just you do all the work that I know as a pastor, and in every church I've been in, I've, either had people walk in or call, and, we want to help. I mean, we want to live out our faith and our calling to be compassionate and to see every person as a child of God who has dignity and worth. But very few churches are really set up to do that in the way that you're describing, which is a much more holistic approach that can help for the long term. And yes, as you said, very different than giving out $25 or even giving one bag of, food or something. So that is, it's really wonderful to hear that. So talk to me about how things have changed since March.
So they're still changing on a daily basis. We never know from day to day what's going to happen. So I will tell you that last year we had about 1,400 referrals the whole year. Since we got the state contract for the rent and mortgage relief program, we have had over probably around 5,000 phone calls since the program began in June the 29th. So
5,000 since June 29th?
Yeah.
Wow. And did you bring on more staff?
We have. We've hired 4 more caseworkers. We're still hiring. We're still ramping up as the days go by. But what happened in March was we closed the office on March the 23rd, and my program staff was wonderful. They took their computers home, they took files home, they took everything they needed to run the business to their homes, and we just pivoted. So we weren't able to do those in-person assessments any longer, but we were able to do everything through phone. It is not ideal in the work we do to do that kind of work, not in person, but we didn't want to close completely because people were still in need. The other number I wanted to just throw out to you is, so last year, I think that we ended up helping like 350 some households with $250,000. We have already spent since June 29th, really since July 6th, because that's really when we began the program. We have already expended over close to $400,000 in that amount of time. So not only have the referrals been increased, we're also increasing the amount of money we're able to help. But I think, Amy, that really shows you the need that is in our community for these resources.
Well, absolutely. And I think we're all hearing and recognizing that with the ongoing effects, particularly economic effects, that need is likely to continue to grow. And that would be my other question to you is, I know none of us right now can predict the future. That is proving to be impossible. But what do you expect to see in the coming months?
We expect to see things worsen. The moratoriums that have been in place on evictions and also on disconnects for utility companies. As you know, the moratoriums on evictions ended, but then they realized that it was such a crisis that we now are under new moratoriums The General Assembly is currently working on getting the moratoriums extended maybe again. The problem with that is that people just keep getting deeper and deeper into debt. We've been using the word tsunami, but I, along with a couple of other people, have stopped using that word, and we're using the word tidal waves now, because we keep having these tidal waves come in.
Yeah.
And so I believe that we will have more tidal waves, maybe in a month, maybe in 2 more months, maybe in the first of the year when all the federal CARES Act funding disappears, which is where we're getting the money from the state program that we're now administering for the central Richmond area. What happens when those funds dry up? You know, are we going to be able to get more funding from the federal government in order to help these folks that are in need and still can't find work? Their companies have closed. Restaurants are operating at 50% capacity at most. You know, we see so many different people now that we never saw in the past. We never saw service operators. We never saw the service industry folks. You know, if you were a server in a restaurant and you lost your job, you just went down the street to another restaurant and got a job.
New job, yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't happen now. Therein lies a whole new problem and a whole new set of people, which is a lot of people. So we're seeing people, we're seeing more people, we're seeing more people with more demand for financial assistance. The state funds allow us to go back to April the 1st.
Okay.
But then there also has to be some landlord forgiveness as to how much money we can give the landlord. So it's scary, and it's going to continue, I'm afraid, until we get this virus under control, and maybe until we get a vaccine that is working.
Well, I know you said when we were talking before we started recording that First Presbyterian has been with ACTS or a partner with ACTS for more than 10 years. And, you know, I just want to say that we are so grateful to be a partner, and certainly hope that we will continue to do that, especially right now. I mean, we're grateful to be able to give this grant, but obviously that the need is ongoing, and we want to respond to that in the way that we can.
And I want to thank First for all of their support over the past years. And when I mentioned the care packages a while ago, y'all did a great care package collection on one of your service days. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago, but I mean, the outpouring of love that came through that was just incredible. And even though I do want to make something clear to the family at First, you know, even though we're getting this state funding, there are stipulations with the state funding where we can't help certain populations of people.
Okay.
So we can't help older people who are living on Social Security because your income has to have been affected by COVID.
Right.
So those people are disqualified. If you're out on Social Security disability, you're disqualified. And those folks still need help because, you know, they're living close to the edge. And, you know, their car breaks down. Their roof needs to be replaced. Whatever the need is, they can become in financial crisis just as anyone else can. And the other thing that this money does not pay for, it does not pay for any type of utilities. So the money that we're bringing in from our private funds, including congregational funding, enables us to help support those folks and to support those particular bills that the state money or the local jurisdiction money is not going to be able to help with.
Right.
So please, this is what I'm telling all of our congregations, we need your support now more than ever, because we can't do everything with the state and local jurisdiction funding that we're able to do with the funding you provide for us, and eventually, help our neighbors in need. So, don't be mistaken by, the fact that we are just receiving $1 million from the state, that we don't need your support anymore, because we do. It's just because we're putting more money out on the street now.
Well, I'm really glad that you clarified that, and that we can continue to support the work that you do. And I hope that we can keep in touch, and, as you've said, and as I think it's clear to so many of us, this is going to be ongoing, and there's going to be a lot of people who are facing needs that they probably never faced before. So we want to do everything we can to help support them. But thank you, Billy, for the work that you and your staff do. And we will be praying for you and supporting you in any way that we can, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you to your family at First Pres. It's a great partnership.
Thank you.